Welcome to Lytle Creek. It's a place many of us go to get our first taste of off-roading, and a place that was severely affected by the fires over this last summer. We're here today to hang out, check out the damage, and do a little preview dry run for the 4runner that we've been building up. So we're aired down in Lytle Creek, and we're just going up that 2-mile stretch of gravel. Let's see what happens. This is the 4runner's first real time really getting on dirt and actually stressing out some of the parts that we've installed. The shocks, the coils, and all the armor, all of it might get tested today in a place that might actually let it stretch its legs. And in a place that was also affected by the bridge fire that lit up more than 55,000 acres of the San Bernardino Mountains. And we're on 306A right now, and it looks horrible. You can see the fire damage now. It's completely different from when the last time most of us were here, so most of the trees, most of the shrubs, everything's been torched. When we passed through these areas, we saw how bad it got, but as we climbed in altitude, it wasn't all that bad. There were still parts that were green, there were still places that were unaffected. But in that same token, I was also having to relearn how to take different lines across the same trail. Since this was my first time putting the 4runner through its paces, it was definitely different compared to my built Land Cruiser, where I could just simply muscle my way through all of it. So we're finally on top of 306A, and we're on the plateau section towards the back area. And you can see the burn line on the ridge of basically all the trees that burned, as well as whatever trees here were affected as well. That includes the small trees that were burnt over here, as well as some of the shrubbery here was also caught on fire. But on a positive note, the higher you go up on this side of the ridge, it's actually still pretty green and it is less affected. So it's nice to see that there's still some greenery up here. We just spent some time up here, about an hour up here, just relaxing and checking this stuff out, because everything's relatively different now because of how the fires affected the area. So we just wanted to see everything around here and take it in. But we are now heading down 306A. We're probably going to stop by the little creek area and go look at that, because there is actually water in the area. But after that, we're going to head down to the actual rock bed or the riverbed area, and then actually head over to 306 and see the bulk of the Yellow Post campsites. On the way down, I was actually enjoying my time. It was a challenge being in a smaller rig with smaller tires and having to play it differently than my Land Cruiser. It was like starting from scratch, and to be fair, it felt good to be in that position again. Once we started crossing the creek bed, we were getting into an area of Lytle Creek that was going to be relatively long and relatively flat for a trail, but a perfect place for me to stretch out this IFS at speed. Now that was fun. Past the Shelf Road, we drove straight left and right off of the trail into the Yellow Post sites that mostly hug the base of the ridges to check them out.
Does this spot look familiar? I know what you're talking about.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm the most likely to tip over here.
That has nothing to do with the ice.
No, it's just this area is a bad off angle. Just nice and slow, Betsy. Just nice and slow. Your mom did it.
When you overthink it, that it becomes a problem.
As we went by the sites, each one we came across looked intact, with most of them having someone camping in them. And by the end of the line, we saw that none of them were actually burnt out, which was a relief to us, that this area wasn't affected. We continued up the trail, just wanting to find one last stop, a place that we can just sit around, talk, and enjoy one of the more beautiful views that we have up here, before we ultimately had to leave this place. We're now leaving 306, and this is basically the area that was affected by the fire. Majority of the Yellow Post campsites over here were not affected. It's just this swath over here. It's past the majority of the Yellow Post sites, but that's pretty much all the affected area. So it wasn't really affected. And I think that also adds to the reason why Forest Services were okay with opening up Lytle Creek as soon as they did. But on that note, I know this video is way different from what I'm usually doing, which is straight adventure or installing parts or doing some build, but this is pretty much the end of the video for today. If you guys like this type of content, please like, comment, and subscribe. Everything you guys do is appreciated, and until next time, be safe, tread lightly.